in a fight with the Grays on level 5 in Dulce, New Mexico. And he lost his hand. It was hit by a laser. Here he is.
I guess I can always start off by saying loose lips sink ships. That's almost a pun anymore. I'm Phil Schneider. I worked 17 years for the United States government as a geologist and aerospace engineer as well as a structural engineer. I worked for such elusive occupations with Morrison Knudsen, Bechtel, Page and Page, Aerospatiale France, and a host of other EG&G and a host of other Los Alamos Laboratory and these kind of things. But rather than bore you with all those statistics, I've got cooked up a real mixed bag here of different topics, and it's might be a little bit like brain overload, but I'll start from the beginning. And like I said, I worked 17 years. I co-invented methods of shape charge blasting as well as laser rock deflagration, which means the rock is literally melted or powdered by a special maser-laser combination, and the residue of the rock underneath is applied as a coating, as a liquid coating, kind of like instant agate, if you could imagine a hunk of agate, which is a hard silica mineral, rock actually. But up here we have another topic. This is an area to where I worked. I worked 11 years of the 17 years at Groom Lake, S4, S2. It's in the Nellis Air Force Base area. In fact, Groom Lake is, I'll show you in the picture right here. It's right here. Groom Lake is quite the place. A lot of rumors and other kinds of things have come out of there. Of course, people have stood on the outside for years and wondered at what's been flying there. There's all kinds of things been flying. Let me give you a brief overview. Start in ancient history land here. Back in 1909, the U.S. Cavalry was engaged in catching some banditos that had crossed over the Mexican border into a place called Truth and Consequences, New Mexico. And they went into a cave or a hideout and killed the so-called bandits, but what they found out they couldn't explain. And they were called horseshoe craft at that time, or horseshoe ships. There were UFOs, and they saw these, what they call demons, gray demons, little gray guys all around the place. That was in 1909. Now, in 1933, our government was actively engaged with the Europeans, mostly the French and the English, in special researches dealing with aerial phenomena. And once again, the term flying saucer or flying disc didn't come about until much later, supposedly right around the mid-1940s. Anyway, the whole thing here is that also in 1946, I might want to add, we were engaged in atomic bomb testing and this kind of a like. And of course, the area of Bikini Atoll, some of the pictures are over here on the whiteboard, showing with the actual language of that, both the U.S. Army and U.S. Navy archives. DUMB stands for Deep Underground Military Base, and or a deep underground DUMB-2, for instance, is a submarine base, and I have built a few of those too, which are for continental shelves and certain islands and out in the Atlantic and the Pacific and strategic locations. All this I can hardly, in an hour's time, I can hardly squeeze all this in. So I'll be kind of rambling here if you just bear with me. The main topic of my discussion here is to link up basically what's going on with these deep underground military bases, what they're being used for, what is the present situation now being employed both by our federal government, which is slowly being phased out by the United Nations government, as well as the New World, being called the New World Order, which is an even higher entity, and who these higher entities are taking their orders from, and try and link up basically what's going on. A lot of us have been kept in the dark. We've been given, maybe most recently over here, photographs of an alien at Roswell. I'll just make a very brief statement about that. The photographs cannot stand up to a computer grain analysis test and therefore are retouched or faked. They're not real. The real one, the real photograph of the charred or dead alien that was one of the several that were autopsied is over here, was given to me by a friend by the name of Skip Froback out of Seattle. And his father worked as one of the principal doctors. He was from Germany at the time, and worked some of the autopsy material, from what I understand, along with other people. Anyway, you just can't believe everything, and that goes for me. You got to get out there and do your homework. Like I always say, you might don't put your spectacles on, you put your skepticals on when you listen to me. So if we can have a show of hands here, how many people have heard about Roswell, New Mexico? Very good, almost all. And how many people have heard about the black helicopters and the other kinds of flying saucers type equipment out at Groom Lake and other places? Very good. Well, this obviously is a nice enlightened audience. Most of you have probably seen what a black helicopter is, or maybe even gotten rare glimpses of an F-117A Black Jet, or Stealth, as they're often called, or a B-2 bomber, or B-1 bomber, or some of these other sophisticated aircraft that are now being touted as the new technology. Once again, where did we get this new technology? Well, obviously we've had a little hand in that. Our little alien so-called buddies have kind of exchanged things, not without a great cost. The cost of which has been a lot of people have disappeared. Some, although this is statistic by you, there's according to current FBI and Defense Intelligence Agency and CIA statistics, 100,000 children and 1 million adults disappear every year. And these are not kidnappings or murders or rapes or suicides or anything. Totally unaccounted for. And where are these people going to? Nobody knows. Maybe one of us in this room or somebody has encountered such an individual and lost a loved one or a friend or something. And that's unfortunate. My best friend, Ron Lee Rummel, several years ago got himself murdered because we dared to put out in print, at that time I was still working for the government, and so was he, we dared to put in print that so-called the Strategic Defense Initiative, or Star Wars, as part of the New World Order and takes its actions. It was originally written as a kind of a spoof or a joke. We had one of these alien gray guy dressed up and had New World Order insignia on it. Of course, that wasn't taken very nicely, and my friend got himself murdered. It was called a suicide, but now it's been turned over to special authorities who now acknowledge it was a homicide. Other than that, I'd like to also mention something about my father. My father was a U-boat captain in Hitler's Navy, and he got captured and taken over. I didn't find this out until about 2 weeks before he died on his deathbed. He kind of told everybody in total shock. In fact, I didn't believe him. I thought he was kind of in delirium or something like that. And of course, other things have come up since. And so, anyway, he was captured by the French, turned over to the Third Army, the U.S. Third Army, and then U.S. Third Army turned over to the Navy. And he was a master machinist. Now, that's not a journeyman. A master means that they can take a block of metal and make a gun or a watch or some other fine instrument. And he was a master machinist. He later became an MD doctor and part of the aerospace medicine group of the United States Navy. Was instrumental in helping build the USS Nautilus and its first nuclear-powered predecessor, the Enterprise, first nuclear-powered aircraft carrier, and other ships like it. He pioneered all the ways in building very small and miniature nuclear engines, and he even helped work later on in his life. He helped develop the infamous grid bed nuclear motor, which is now employed in some things that look like flying saucers that people claim are flying saucers. Yes, we, in quote, the United States Air Force and other armed forces, are training other European forces to fly unidentified, or now identified, or in quote, flying saucers. We've actually built several prototypes that are flying under the names of Black Craft. My position as a geologist and engineer got me to see a lot of things in the world. I've been in over 70 countries. I also worked for NATO. I carried a level 3 security clearance with a rhyolite factor. Rhyolite is a hardening factor, only given out to a handful of civilians, maybe a couple of hundred military men worldwide. I thought I was doing the nation, the United States, as well as the world a favor by, I thought I was kind of keeping my end up. Well, it didn't work out that way. I was to later find out that these underground bases are now being employed as strategic bases for, in case there is martial law in this country. Right now, our military professors that used to be in war colleges and the like are training people like ex-Russian KGB and Spetsnaz people right here on American soil. I've seen it with my own 2 eyes, along with other people, other geologists. I'm still a geologist, still do geological survey work. However, I don't work for the government anymore. I took my security clearance and all my government stuff, and I cut it up and sent it back to the Department of French SOBs. I found out that a number of these 131 deep underground military bases are being used to subvert the Constitution of these United States and moved into that part and I finished 3 weeks, and then at that time my father was dying, and I was allowed home, and I never went back for my paychecks. Don't intend to either. These people are beginning to show signs of being our utmost enemy. I'm talking about military people now engaged in training foreign troops on American soil, clearly against the Bill of Rights of the U.S. Constitution. It's why we formed a government, why our forefathers formed a government, a republic of these United States in the first place, way back 200 plus years ago. Because the drawing and quartering of soldiers, taxation without representation, law by edict, otherwise known as the Days Version Executive Order, among other things. The very reasons that we became, in quote, free, a free republic, a free society, possibly one of the greatest nations to ever be a nation on this earth, were instilled in our founding fathers that are now so far away from the people now running our federal government structure. So I'm here today to touch upon a number of subjects. One being that these underground bases are roughly over 3 of them per state. There's now, instead of 12 prison camps, there's 39. That's almost one per state. They're building 2 prison camps every seven months. They're building 2 underground military bases every year. Each one of these military bases, by the way, is underground military bases. They cost somewhere between $17 and $26 billion. They employ 1,800 to 10,000 workers each in varying grades of skill. They gobble up totally through the black budget, over 1/4 of the black budget, or roughly $310 billion. Of course, you may say, well, where are these figures coming from? Well, the black budget, as we know it, in quote, black projects, which anything called black is significant of hidden from Congress, hidden from the American people. Very few people are even in the know about it at all. A black budget per year garners over $500 billion a year. And it's these kind of huge quantities and sums of monies are garnered through CIA drug activity, National Security Agency clandestine operations, mostly in Panama and South America. Now also engaged in Russia in bringing and refining strategic metals. By the way, you might want to ask, there's always kind of interesting new metals coming. Over here on the whiteboard, we have the new periodic table. It's got 140 elements. Now, in our high schools of today, I was in a high school about a week ago. I saw a new periodic table. It had 105 elements. But somewhere, we're not being told the truth. We're being lied to at every turn and every corner. We're considered less than morons. So the government has made itself an entity, an independent taxing body, an entity into itself, and isn't accountable to anybody. Not even the so-called New World Order. They just go ahead and do everything willy-nilly as they please. There's nobody checking. You don't have to worry about this. Occasionally there's a senator pokes a nose in here and there, and that senator finds out either nicely or not so nicely that you don't do things like that. Now, if we're to gain a grip on our country, if we're to take our country back, we must first ask our public officials if they cannot tell us the truth, and we will impeach them or they will be impeached. Or they'll be tried as traitors. This is pretty stiff language. Already it's slowly beginning to trickle out and to occur to a number of people that this may be the only way out. Also, our founding fathers, George Washington, Patrick Henry, and a few of the other ones came up and said that you don't want to let the beast out of the box. Never talking about a runaway government. You don't want to allow your government to become like England at that time. And so they warned us about this very same kind of thing. First of all, the United States is not a democracy. It's not a republic anymore. It should be a republic. That's to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God. By the way, we can't even pray in the public schools anymore. We have to have a Supreme Court judge or group of them, plus Janet Reno and company, among other things, telling us what to do. Interpret for us as if we cannot read with our own two eyes and understand with our mind. This, of course, is bad policy all the way around. And I guess I don't need to blow that by your ears. Okay, on another subject, I have a number of items up here at the table. One of which here is, I'll just show it, is a heavy hunter rock indeed. It has a weight of about a little bit more than a pound, 2.5 times the weight of uranium. It's not radioactive, it can never be made radioactive. It's composed of earth, rare earth, clays, and powdered metals, as well as an alien element, mostly from crashed, retrieved flying saucers and the kind that have had stands to crash in our deserts and backyards, so to speak. It's called Mironite. This is employed in every stealth aircraft, every flight jet throughout the Black Budget. Also in the very small quantities in the skins of black helicopters. Mironite. Here's another thing. Here's a piece of probably the purest titanium you'll ever hear or see. It's so pure. It's also composed with other alien elements to make it extremely tough. It's capable of withstanding temperatures in excess of 7,000 degrees Fahrenheit. Our new Phoenix-class submarines, of which we're building 2 a month right now. Phoenix-class submarines is a black budget program. Each one of those submarines costing $208 million just for the titanium hull, which is made of this material. Approximately 10,000 pounds of it. Now, we've got, supposedly, as of the data right now, we've got 106 of these submarines. They're flying the waters and the waves. They can dive to a depth of over 7,000 feet and hold that for 3 months. It's a fantastic submarine indeed. It has 11 grid-bed nuclear motors on the engines to run everything, purify the air. By the way, these aren't your usual nuclear motor installation. They're very small. They're probably no bigger than this podium, weighing less than 3,000 pounds, putting out as much as the equivalent of 3 aircraft carriers of the Enterprise class. But these Phoenix-class submarines are getting this metal. Now, where are we getting the metal? Well, it's being stockpiled in a number of strategic locations. Supposedly, I've heard stories, well, it's being mined on the moon, and I have no way of proving that one way or another. I think we're probably getting it from Russia, or refining it in outer space. Or we shuttling, basically a shuttle, a secret shuttle flight smattering of the truth. It's not the real truth. Maybe it's 5% of the truth. Maybe it's not even that. You can rest assured you're not getting much. Another strategic metal is this particular bar with some strange crystals on it. There's scalenohedral crystals of niobium, titanium, rhenium, copper oxide. This complex group of elements not found on the Earth in specific quantities. This was developed at Los Alamos through EG&G and other outfits. Are employed in all black jet aircraft, including the in-quote sport little flying saucer we occasionally see over at Groom Lake. And by the way now, if we happen to be with a video camera, taking pictures of the so-called area around Groom Lake, it's now you can get your equipment confiscated, your car, your house, considered the same thing as a drug dealer, and you'll go to jail for 5 years, up to 5 years, and $1 million fine. I personally don't think this is what I'm hearing. I just don't think that this kind of punitiveness is what we need in America. We have to get rid of it, otherwise we're going to die with no America. Here's some other elements. Here's a very light element. It's composed of lithium metal, as well as a alien element, a little heavier than hydrogen, but a little lighter than helium, also employed in this. It's used in secretive methods of propulsion, and it also is in a peculiar scalenohedral crystalline form. And anything scalenohedral, and by the way, a scalene triangle is no side is equal to another side. The scalenohedral metallic crystalline structure is definitely alien element, or alien technology converted over to our own technology. These were given to me about a year ago. They're called alien or aurora drops. It's supposedly the skins of the black jets, some of the ones that are coming in at very high rates of speed. They're still glowing red hot, white hot, and they'll sit out there and cool off, and they're dripping their material off of them. And it's kind of like a rubberized coating. It's not rubber, I can tell you that. This is hard as lava rock, or harder, capable of withstanding tremendous temperatures, but nonetheless, some of it sloughs off every time, and so they just kind of scoop it up and throw it in the trash can. There are a few pieces of it. Here's one of the hardest so-called man-made rocks. Once again, it's got a number of alien counterpart. It's got an alien crystalline structure to it, very advanced. It's about 11 times harder than a diamond, about 70 times stronger than a diamond, capable of standing temperatures in excess of 10,000 degrees Fahrenheit. It is employed as very thin coatings or windows, tiny windows in hypersonic aircraft that exceed Mach 5. Here's an interesting artifact. Right here in this hunk of rock, which by the way was an old 100,000-year-old shipping tool found in Syria, Jordan rather, excuse me, is a imprint of, it looks like a fossil, but it's not. It's an imprint of a small mechanical part with exactly 360 kind of little rotor blades. Well, this rock is 220 million years old. Who was making machines 220 million years ago? Maybe von Däniken was right after all. Here we have an actual piece of agatized fruit, or it's similar to a lime. It's even been pecked by a bird at one time, and that's still there. So it's instantly turned to agate. It is the same agate or chemical structure as material found at Hiroshima and Nagasaki after CIA bombings in World War II, where grasses and flowers and petals of flowers and other kinds of things were instantly petrified, turned to agate. It is the same identical crystalline structure. However, this particular piece is about 20 million years old, and it's still got its original green coating, and it's basically unchanged, perfect condition. Likewise, here's a garlic plant about somewhere between 20 and 35 million years of age, and once again, it's got that same pink agate coating. And here are some pieces of the metal skin from the crash disk at Roswell. Was given to me when I was 14 years old. My father was visiting one of his old friends in the Navy archives, as well as he was in the Royal Navy in England. And I, as a 14-year-old boy, I says, "Gee, Dad, can I ask Johnny something?" "Oh, go ahead, ask him. Get anything you can from him, that kind of thing." I says, "Well, gee, Johnny, well, do you think I can have a piece of this?" "No, no, you can't have that." And I says, "Oh, give it to the kid. What the heck? He won't have it very long anyway." Well, I've had it all this time. Kind of a unique thing. They were able to break the skin of that craft, by the way, by dropping it into a bath of liquid nitrogen, hitting it with a mechanical or hydraulic hammer, and it shattered into little bits. And it was later analyzed and adapted for our own technology. All these artifacts are fine. But once again, the main part of this talk is, where's it all leading to? We get very little spin-off to where any of this is leading to. Occasionally we'll get a new computer or maybe a quartz watch or some little trinket kind of like giving the Indians beads a couple hundred years ago. Well, we're getting these little spin-offs. But the black budget still rolls on, garnering up over $1 trillion every 2 years. It's somewhere between 1.023 trillion and 1.31 trillion dollars every 2 years. And every year it goes by and the black budget is unchecked, unaccounted for. It's just subverting our country. That's number one. Number two is that these underground military, first of all, if there was something like a nuclear war or there was a definite enemy out there where we were going to be under attack, like from China or someplace like that, I could see maybe a couple of dozen underground bases for government, and so it could theoretically rise up like the phoenix out of the ashes. Well, not 131 of these. If you were going to so-called round people up and put them in prison camps, what a better prison camp than underground, where nobody knows where it is anyway. So once again, these underground bases are most likely been planned as underground prison camps and slave labor factories of the New World Order. New World Order, by the way, is getting, and I'm probably the only person ever talking about this. The New World Order is taking, and the United Nations is taking its orders from, believe it or not, these more powerful outer space alien entities. We might call them the large grays or the small grays. Sinister forces indeed. And you might want to say, well, gee, how come we don't see more of this kind of thing? Well, you can just imagine. If you're only being told 5% or less of the truth, that isn't very much to go on. That's one thing. Another thing is, you don't find very many people coming up here and when you have hands-on experience. I'm going to try and do this to you. However, I do ask you to go out and do your homework and keep doing it. Don't necessarily believe in what I'm saying, but get out there and talk to people. Whether it's just a couple of neighbors or friends or something, get out there and talk. Because one will tell two and two will tell four, and then pretty soon you have a whole room full of people that are in the know. And then from there, wonders can work. And that, as far as changing the black budget and these clandestine programs, public opinion is only going to be that, going to do that, and it's going to take millions of us. But we have to be informed. And to do that, we have to be doing what we're doing now, gathering and talking. And, of course, most of us are adults, and we have fact from fiction. Most of us are responsible adults and know the difference between fact and fiction and how to use it or how to abuse it. So we, therefore, have to continue to keep studying and keep talking. If there's just me out there, believe it or not, there aren't very many people like myself out there talking. I've given over 30 talks in the United States, Canada, Japan, went over to England, into Japan, kind of illegal, came back the same weekend. They flew me in and out, but to talk to a number of their execs, and they were very interested indeed. Now, if this is all a bunch of poppycock and hooey and poo-poo, I would be listened to, be given an audience by these people, but I've never really had. I've had 13 attempts on my life since the first of this year. There's a number of you ladies present, so I won't worry about it, but Al has seen some of the ones, and there's a few other people that have been to a few of my other lectures, and they can attest that I have been shot. I've been run off the road, I've been pushed off the road, I've been mostly shot at, and that kind of thing like that. But I've been in hand-to-hand combat with some of these people, and once again, I'm not in the best of shape anymore, but I still know how to handle myself. And I'm just about ready to wrap things up here, but just basically wanted to give you an overview of what's happening. And if we have any questions, we can start asking a few questions. Okay, here's a gentleman way over here. Would you please speak up? Wow. Yes, I was involved in 1979, in August, late August of 1979. I was involved working through Los Alamos Laboratories at Dulce, New Mexico, and what's now known as the Alien-Human War. 66 Secret Service agents, government workers, geologists, and the like. I almost bit the dust. I could have been number 67. Lost their lives that day because the government lied and knew full well what was underneath. And what we'd done is, out in the desert there, we had drilled in a period of a couple of days, we drilled 4 of these holes that went down several thousand feet. And one of these holes kept bringing up dirty dust, putrefying odors, and broken off machine bits and other kinds of things like that. Boring machines as well as lasers came up damaged. First, there was a probe that was sent down, and that came up totally missing, and so people were sent down there. That was more people. And when I got down there, of course, the odor was, and remember, I was in a spacesuit type environment. All I had was a small tool belt with special sensors, a small rock hammer, and a rucksack for mineral specimens and other kinds of things like that. And I had my little pistol. Being an engineer, didn't have time to carry a big hunk of pistol like most of these Green Berets carry. Stuff like that, Black Berets. I carried a little Walther PPK with a 9-shot clip. As soon as I got down this hole, standing about from me to this gentleman over here in front row, Jews had been lured that this may or may not occur, and so basically was given ET training. But a lot of these other people weren't, and we were. In fact, it was asked, are there aliens in the area? And of course, the big question was no, and that was a big lie. And of course, 66 people died that day. I have a big hole in my chest. I lost all my lung was literally burned out of me. Fingers burned off of me. My toenails burned off of me. My skin was I was in radiation isolation therapy for 400 plus days. My bones were vitrified or burned. I was cooked. I managed to survive. I'm telling you something about it today. Other than that, I'm the only talking survivor. There are only 2 other survivors, and they're in nursing homes up in Canada. Canada refuses to allow the United States officials to talk to them. They're in very bad shape indeed. One of them can't talk, and the other one doesn't want to. So, they're regarded as Canadian heroes. So, they're being kept by Canada. Okay, this fellow over here. Speak up loud. Actually, yes, there's several. In fact, as I was coming to this talk, I was supposed to be here by plane, but there was a subsequent follow-up. Anyway, I drove all the way and did it in one day. But as I was coming over up near Cheyenne, I noticed the military Air Force and the Army are building a so-called new, in quote, boot camp, prison camp, right up in Cheyenne, brand new. And I was here 3 months ago. I wasn't there. So it's something brand new. In Colorado, yes, there's about 4 underground bases, one being at Denver International Air Base. I call it Air Base, spaceport, or whatever you want to call it. Denver International Airport. No wonder your luggage doesn't get flocked. There are 8 levels underneath the airport, tarmac there, in quote tarmac or cement mac. And so those bags could be there for a damn long time. Just imagine if this was instantly turned to agate 30 or more million years ago, those bags could very well be the same way. Oh yeah, there's a number of them. And I wish I had a map with me. In fact, in subsequent talks I'll have a map, which will be put on the overhead. In fact, the next talk I plan to have just that. I had planned to bring a map here and had all the latitudes and longitudes of all the bases, and I can't do that. It would be a nice jail sentence for me, so I didn't bring it. So, but other than that, I'll have that all researched for you. Yes, this one. Yes, as far as there being an inner Earth, a hollow Earth or anything like this, no, I've never run into anything like that. However, Al Bielek has been on these tunnel trains at the better part of Mach 2, going from coast to coast in an hour and a half, faster than any jet plane that we got, including the SST, or thereabouts, the same rapid speed. But I helped build a lot of these tunnels, and all of the underground mountain or military bases are connected. All 131 of them. They're connected both by road, not a big freeway under there, but it's at least a 2 to a 4 lane road, rather narrow lanes, but they're there, and they're also high-speed magneto-leviton train tunnels. Yes, this lady over here. Stand up and speak up, please. What levels of military personnel know about this? the levels of the military know about this, especially at higher levels, higher officer levels. The enlisted, I'm sure, don't, are basically kept in the dark like we are, in quote, we are. So, yeah. This fellow right here with the hat, Adam. Well, there's 131 of them in the